But let's talk about NCAA conference week, guys. It wasn't just USA's, and the NCAA conference, they were moving, running and gunning, some of which faster than some of the USA performances, guys. Before we get into that, check out the latest college rankings that just dropped on FloTrack. But I think let's all pick our moments, nuggets, whatever of the meet, and of course, I'm gonna go first. The SEC freshmen. So SEC's was great. Obviously, we know they get down to SEC. It's probably arguably the strongest conference in sports. Let's just keep it a buck, right? But the freshmen in general, for me, I think they were moving, and I think leading that charge is Deja Hodge of Georgia, 22:32 personal best, facility record. She beat out, I'd say, the favorite, Jamesia Ford, who ran 22:61, and then Cameron Dixon coming third, 22:76. So she's one of like probably standout freshmen that performed this weekend at SECs. And then also, I would be remiss not to talk about Elise Cooper and Sydney Sutton. They made the 200 final. Elise ran 22:80, Sydney ran 22:93, and this one was near and dear to my heart because less than a year ago, we were covering both of them at like New Balance Nationals after they've run so well. So it was so nice to see that the high school to freshman, the high school to college freshman pipeline slide. Like, what is it? They ain't doing too bad for freshmen. You know what I'm saying? Maddie Cooper
Yep.
of UGA, she scored for the Dogs. She came seventh with 8:05 in the 60-meter hurdles. And obviously, we have on the men's side, 3 freshmen showed up and showed out in the 400 meters. And I think leading that charge, we got to talk about Jonathan Sims, who came third and ran 45:23 at College Station. The SEC freshman, and that's just a
Amazing.
little bit of them because there are a lot of them did really well. I just don't have time to talk about all of them.
Yeah, and I was there, and I'm just like, Deja did what? Jonathan did who?
Yeah.
Like it's just. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna scream it from the mountaintops. The ceiling has become the floor. The ceiling has
Mm-hmm.
become the floor. These athletes are rewriting the books and what it means, what the normal is going to be going forward. Yeah, that Deja was probably my most impressive that to see, just like of the freshmen that you just brought up, because it, Deja, you see when you go to these track meets, you see young talent and you can tell they're young. Maybe it's the demeanor, maybe it's how they seem kind of meek, but when they race, like, oh, they're really talented. Adasia walks in this place like she has been here. She walks in this place like it's her house. And when she comes off the track, she's not. Sometimes freshmen that jump or run really well, or you can kind of tell that they're like really excited. Don't they, like their emotions will come out, which I love seeing emotional reactions. I'm no one to tell you not to. But Adasia walked off. She's like, you could tell she was happy, but she kind of looked at the clock, was like, she had this little grit in her teeth. I was like, ooh, I
There's
love it.
more in
As
the
a
tank,
competitor, I love
Olu.
it. I
Wait
love
till
it. I love it.
man. There's more in it. We
Yes.
still got nationals in like 2 weeks, if even that, and then
Yes.
wait till outdoors. Adasia about to
Yeah.
be like, I mean, Adasia is a dog. She went to use she goes to UGA, but she's a
She's an
dog, like
Olympian.
a
Like, come
dog
on.
dog.
She's an. Let's not forget she is a 2024 Olympian. Like, she's bringing that energy. So yeah, it's oof. Ooh, it was fun to watch. It was really fun to watch.
Oh yeah, I got chills. All right, what's your pick, Olu?
Okay, I gotta talk. My pick first and foremost has to be to the 4 false starts that I saw in the hurdles. It was like 3 or 4. Honestly, for me, as if it's
Yeah.
when I have a camera in my hand, if I see 2 false starts, I'm already just locked in. I stop watching race in front of me, and I start looking at the scoreboard because I got to be ready to catch whoever comes across the line. But in the prelims, they were like, I forgot which heat it was. There were 2 or 3 false starts, and then what ended up happening was um, Jaquelin Scott ended up beating Kendrick Smallwood by the thousandths of a second. Both of them ran 7:46. Jacoby Tharp came back in the following heat, ran 7:46. This is all on Friday night in the prelims of the
Mm.
SEC 60-meter hurdles. 7:46 is the fastest time run in the NCAA this year. 3 of these men did this all in the span of 15 minutes. Then they come back, and I had put out saying maybe these guys are going to run quite a bit faster because now they're all going to be in the same heat on Saturday. And you know what? I still got to tip my hats off to Jacoby. I got to tip my hats off to Jaquelin and to Kendrick and everybody else in that field, because there were, like, again, I lost count. It was either 3 or 4 false starts that happened in that final alone. And then Jacoby still came out and ran 1 in 7:48. What if there weren't those false starts? What if we didn't have to deal with, people who are now, you false start once, okay, fine, charges to the field. False start again, charges to the field, which, by the way, they charge every single one of them to the field. Now it kind of has you a little bit hesitant. Now you're like, okay, is this going to be called back too? For all of them to be
Mhm.
that locked in, and still be able to drop under 750, and particularly to Jacoby for running 748, only 200s off of that nation leading time. I feel like there weren't that many false starts. Maybe they would have even run faster. I have no doubt about that. But in any case, Nationals is right around the corner. And I think when we see all these guys in the same heat, maybe we'll get treated to something sub 745 like I was hoping to see at SECs.
This is one of those events I think where the SECs for particularly the men's 60, the men's 60-meter hurdles serves as a nationals preview. So we will be seeing this again. We'll see what happens, and hopefully the gun don't start glitching in Arkansas.
And it,
All
you know,
right.
it's like they had an actual fire. Like this wasn't even the electronic one. We had the caps in the gun. Like what's going on here? But yeah, hopefully
Yeah,
Arkansas
I
gets
was
it right.
watching it on my phone and I was like, so what's the issue?
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully again that's not the issue at nationals. All right, Johnny, give me your picks.
All right, yeah, I got a couple that come to mind. They're kind of spread out across all parts of the country, but the first one, obviously, Gary Martin defending his 3K title. Always going to be psyched when the Who's are getting gold, but I think other ones that stood out were um, UW, University of Washington, getting the women's DMR um, title with a 10:56:18, which was their first DMR title with a meet and facility record. So that was cool. And I think I bring that up not only because I like those girls, but because three of them are named Chloe. So I thought that was pretty funny with Chloe Thomas, Chloe Simon, and Chloe Forster, who Olu and I know two of those ladies from a
And the
shoot we did earlier
Mochos.
this year. So yeah, that's right. And but those are not my top moment. My top pick is from Big Tens with Jane Hedengren, who got the title in a meet record and facility record in the 3K. This was Big 12s, not Big Tens, with 8:46:11. So the freshman adds a conference title to her belt, and this was shortly after running I believe it was a 4:26, just a little bit earlier. So the old double. I think something we neglected to mention from USA's, and then obviously not for conferences, is that there's a lot of doubling back, especially if you're trying to get a 15. If you're trying to earn a mile and what is it, 15 and 3K in the same span of 24 hours, the implications on your legs. Like, I think we're only human. Like you really, those muscles need recovery. So I think it's all the more impressive when people can, um, double up, triple up. And I don't think it's something we pay enough attention to, but like the turnaround and the ability to execute in a short frame of time is just adds to the impressiveness. And something like the DMR, like you've no doubt had already run individual events, and that's worth noting at least. But a lot of good stuff. Can't wait. I think we have an off weekend now, but NCAA is right around the corner. I think in 2 weeks.
It is, it is, it is. So we will see what happens there. It's going to be good because I'm telling you, they're sliding, they're moving.